Captain Alara Miles gripped the controls of her fighter craft, the Nebula wing as it danced through a barrage of laser fire. Space around her was ablaze with the conflict between her squadron and the Galactic Empire's advanced fighters. Despite the surprise attack, Alara's reactions were precise. Her maneuvers saved her ship more than once from what seemed like certain destruction. "Focus, team. Use evasive pattern Delta," she commanded over the comms. Her voice was a calming force amid the chaos. Around her, the remnants of the colony's small defense fleet rallied, inspired by her leadership and forming a more cohesive unit to counter the attackers. The battle was fierce. Alara's HUD lit up with alerts and tactical data, displaying the weak points and current trajectories of enemy ships. With a well-timed barrel roll, she dodged another volley and lined up her shot. A quick squeeze of the trigger sent a burst of energy toward an enemy fighter, catching its engine and turning the ship into a fireball. Breathing heavily, Alara glanced at the status reports flickering on her display. The enemy was retreating, but the cost had been high. Many of her squadron were now just debris floating in the void, and the colony below suffered significant damage. "We've pushed them back, for now," Alara reported back to command. Her ship limped towards the colony's main hangar, its hull scarred and smoking from the encounter. As she disembarked, the weight of the attack sank in. Her crew members met her with a mix of relief and mourning, the joy of survival tinged with the sorrow for those lost. In the war room, holograms flickered to life, showing the faces of high-ranking officials and strategists. "Captain Miles, your defense today was commendable, but we've underestimated the Empire's interest in this sector," one of the generals spoke, his tone grave. Alara stood firm, her mind racing through the next steps. "We need to prepare for their next move. This was just a probing attack," she replied. The room nodded in agreement, the reality of a larger conflict dawning on everyone present. The meeting concluded with Alara being given command of a special task force, a mix of the best pilots, engineers and tacticians from across the human colonies. Their mission was clear: to disrupt the Empire's operations and protect human territories from further aggression. As she left the war room, Alara felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She knew the coming days would require all her skills and might test the limits of her endurance. But she was ready. Humanity needed her, and she would not let them down. As she walked down the corridor of the command center, her thoughts were already on assembling her team, planning their first strike, and the inevitable confrontation with the Empire's formidable forces. The survival of her people depended on the success of her mission. Captain Alara Miles traveled through hyperspace aboard the Harmony's Crest, a diplomatic vessel repurposed for her new mission. Her task was daunting but clear: assemble a diverse team capable of standing against the Galactic Empire's relentless advance. Her first stop was the bustling colony of Haven, a technological hub renowned for its innovations in spacecraft engineering and artificial intelligence. There, she met Dr. Lena Voss, a brilliant engineer known for her pioneering work on adaptive shield technologies. Voss, a woman in her early 40s with a keen eye and a sharper mind, had experienced the devastation of war firsthand when her research lab was bombed in an earlier skirmish. "I've read about your work, Dr. Voss. Your expertise could help us turn the tide against the Empire," Alara explained, extending an invitation to join her team. Dr. Voss adjusted her glasses, her eyes reflecting a mix of hesitation and resolve. "I vowed to use my knowledge to protect lives, not just to create," she said. "If joining your team means saving more lives, then I am with you." With Dr. Voss on board, Alara's next recruitment took her to the mining colony of Terran, a rugged world with landscapes scarred by deep quarries and harsh conditions. It was here she sought out Milo Ren, a former Imperial spy who had defected after growing disillusioned with the Empire's brutal tactics. Milo, a man with a rugged exterior and a surprisingly gentle demeanor, was found in a dusty bar on the outskirts of the colony's capital. "Milo, I need someone with your unique insight into the Empire's strategies," Alara proposed as she slid into the booth opposite him. He studied her for a long moment, his eyes narrowing as he weighed his options. Finally he nodded. "Captain, the Empire took everything from me. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure they can't do the same to others." The final piece of her team was Tasha Yen, an ace pilot famous for her daredevil maneuvers during the border skirmishes. Tasha, with her fiery hair and even fiercer spirit, was racing in the orbital circuits of Calypso when Alara approached her. "Why should I give up the thrill of racing for a suicide mission?" Tasha challenged, her posture defiant. "Because, unlike in the races, what we're fighting for will make a real difference. Help us protect our future." Alara countered with a knowing smile. Tasha laughed, the sound echoing off the metal walls of the hangar. "All right, Captain, you've got yourself a pilot, but I'm bringing my ship." With her team assembled, Alara and her new allies returned to Harmony's crest, setting coordinates for their first strategic meeting in orbit. The dynamic among them was a mix of eagerness and anxiety, each member aware of the immense challenges ahead, but driven by a shared commitment to their cause. As the ship broke through the atmosphere of the last colony and set course for deep space, Alara felt a sense of unity forming. These individuals, each exceptional in their fields, were now a team bound by a common goal: to disrupt and dismantle the Empire's oppressive rule and defend humanity's right to freedom and safety. The stakes were high, and the enemy formidable, but together they began to plot their first strike against the Empire, targeting a crucial supply line that, if severed, could weaken the enemy's advance significantly. With her team assembled and the mission set, Captain Alara Miles directed the Harmony's crest toward the outer reaches of the Galactic Empire's territory. The goal was clear: disrupt the Empire's supply chains and weaken their foothold in human-occupied sectors. Their first target was a remote fuel depot on the desolate moon of Isos. Dr. Lena Voss had developed a new type of electromagnetic pulse (EMP) device, designed to disable electronic systems without causing permanent damage, a strategic choice to avoid escalation that could harm civilians. As the Harmony's crest hid behind a nearby asteroid, Alara briefed her team. "Our objective is to hit them fast and disappear before they can mount a counterattack. Lena, you're with me. Milo, you coordinate our exit strategy. Tasha, you keep the engines hot. We may need a quick getaway." The team nodded, each member checking their gear as the vessel approached the moon. Using the cover of space debris, they made their way to the depot. Alara and Lena, clad in stealth suits, infiltrated the facility, planting the EMP device near the central power hub. With precision timing, the device activated, sending a wave of energy that instantly killed the lights and left the depot in darkness. "Now," Alara whispered into her comms, and they swiftly planted additional charges before retreating. Meanwhile, Milo monitored the Empire's communications, jamming their distress signals to delay any response. Tasha piloted a remote drone to provide cover, her skills ensuring that their ship remained undetected. The team regrouped and watched from a safe distance as the secondary charges detonated, engulfing the depot in a controlled blaze that consumed the fuel reserves. "One down," Alara said, marking their first successful strike. Their next target was an Imperial communications array on the planet Viridian 3. This time, the approach required a different tactic. Tasha took the lead, piloting their ship in a daring maneuver that involved skimming the planet's upper atmosphere to avoid detection. On the ground, Milo's expertise was invaluable. He guided Alara and Lena through a network of underground tunnels leading to the base. Their mission was to install a virus in the system that would send back false reports, sowing confusion among the Empire's ranks. The operation was tense, with close calls as they dodged patrols and bypassed security systems. Finally, they reached the main control room, where Lena uploaded the virus. Just as they prepared to leave, they were spotted by a security team. A brief but intense firefight ensued. Alara and her team fought their way out, relying on their superior tactics and the confusion caused by the now compromised communications system. They sprinted back to their rendezvous point, where Tasha brought the ship in hot for a fast extraction. Breathing heavily and hearts pounding, the team escaped into space, leaving chaos in their wake. Back aboard the Harmony's crest, they assessed their success. The Empire's logistics would now be in disarray, buying precious time for human colonies to bolster their defenses. Each mission forged the team into a tighter unit, their respect for each other growing with every successful operation. They were no longer just a group of individuals, but a cohesive force striking fear into the heart of the Galactic Empire. To more victories like today, Alara said, raising an imaginary toast as the stars zoomed past their viewport. Following their recent victories, Captain Alara Miles and her team had temporarily settled on a strategically obscure asteroid within the Calixis sector. This location provided a perfect hideout for planning their next moves and for some much-needed maintenance on their ship, the Harmony's Crest. The atmosphere among the team was cautiously optimistic. They had managed to disrupt significant parts of the Empire's supply chain, but Alara knew that their success would eventually provoke a substantial response. "We've hit them hard, and they're going to hit back harder. We need to be ready," she warned during their strategy meeting. Milo Ren, the former Imperial spy, had been monitoring communications to predict where the next strike might come from. "The Empire's been quiet, too quiet. It's like they're planning something big," he noted, his voice tense. The team decided to fortify their defenses and set up multiple escape routes. Dr. Lena Voss worked on enhancing the asteroid's sensor array to detect any incoming ships, while Tasha Yen ran drills to ensure they could evacuate at a moment's notice. Just as they were wrapping up their preparations, an alarm blared through the base. Lena rushed to the control panel, her fingers flying over the interface. "Multiple ships incoming. It's a strike force, no doubt about it," she announced, her voice a mix of worry and determination. Alara sprang into action, rallying her team. "Positions, everyone. This is not a drill. Milo, activate the defense systems. Tasha, prep the crest for immediate departure. Lena, with me, will try to hold them off as long as we can." As the Empire's ships approached, a tense battle unfolded. Alara and Lena manned the base's modest defense turrets, taking down 2 enemy fighters before the main force landed troops directly onto the asteroid. The ground battle was fierce. Imperial soldiers, better equipped and numerous, stormed the base. Alara and her team fought valiantly, using their knowledge of the asteroid's tunnels and terrain to their advantage. Despite their efforts, the situation quickly became dire. During the skirmish, a small squad of Imperial troops flanked them, capturing Lena and 2 other team members. Alara, faced with the toughest decision yet, ordered a retreat to save the rest of her team. "Fall back to the ship. We have to regroup and plan a rescue," she commanded, her heart heavy with the weight of leaving comrades behind. Milo covered their retreat, expertly laying down suppressive fire as Tasha piloted the Harmony's Crest to their makeshift dock. They escaped into the void, narrowly avoiding a complete rout, but the mood aboard the ship was somber. Once they were safely away, Alara addressed her team, her expression grim but resolute. "We lost good people today. We're going to get them back. But first we regroup and heal. Then we plan our next move. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning of our fight." Following the devastating blow of losing team members, Captain Alara Miles and the remaining crew of the Harmony's Crest spent days in hyperspace, regrouping and planning their most daring mission yet, a rescue operation deep within the heart of the enemy's stronghold, Aeternum. Alara pored over the schematics of Aeternum, a labyrinth of steel and shadows, her brow furrowed in concentration. "This is where they're holding Lena and the others." She pointed on the holographic map displayed in the ship's briefing room. "The detention block is heavily guarded and separated by multiple security checkpoints." Milo Ren leaned in, his eyes tracing the route they would need to take. "I've still got a few contacts on the inside who owe me favors. They can help us bypass some of the security, but we'll need to be quick and silent to avoid detection." Tasha Yen, always the daring pilot, chimed in. "I can get us in. There's a small maintenance bay here," she pointed, tapping a less guarded section of the station. "It's our best shot at docking without raising the alarm." With the plan set, the team made their final preparations. They donned stealth suits equipped with cloaking technology developed by Lena Voss, hoping her invention would give them the edge they needed to save her and the others. The Harmony's crest approached Eternum, hiding in the debris field that orbited the station. Tasha skillfully maneuvered the ship into the maintenance bay, and they disembarked in silence. Inside Eternum, the corridors were cold and dimly lit, filled with the hum of machinery and the distant echoes of orders being barked. Alara led the team, following Milo's directions to navigate the maze of hallways. They reached the first checkpoint, where Milo's contact, a disillusioned Imperial officer, awaited. "Quickly, this way," he whispered, disabling the security systems momentarily for them to slip through. As they delved deeper into the heart of the station, the gravity of their mission weighed heavily on them. Each step took them further into the lion's den, every corner potentially hiding an enemy. Finally, they arrived at the detention block. Alara used a stolen security card to access the control panel, and the doors slid open with a hiss. Inside, they found Lena and the others in cells, worn but unbroken. Lena's eyes widened in a mix of surprise and relief when she saw Alara. "I knew you'd come," she murmured, as Alara unlocked her cell. The reunion was brief as alarms began to blare. Their intrusion had been discovered. "Time to leave," Alara shouted, and the team, now whole once again, made a break for the exit. Chaos erupted throughout Eternum as they retraced their steps, Imperial soldiers hot on their heels. They fought their way back to the maintenance bay, covering each other and moving with a desperate speed. Breaching the bay, they sprinted to the Harmony's crest, which Tasha had ready for immediate departure. As they launched from the bay, enemy fire grazed the hull, a stark reminder of the narrowness of their escape. Back in the safety of space, the team took a moment to breathe, their bond strengthened by the ordeal. Alara looked around at her crew, her expression one of fierce pride. "We came together and survived. Now, let's finish what we started and end this war." After their harrowing escape from Eternum, Captain Alara Miles and her team returned to Terra Nova, greeted not just as survivors but as heroes. The news of their daring rescue had spread quickly, igniting a flame of hope and resistance across the human colonies. Alara stood before a large assembly of colony representatives, her team beside her. The hall buzzed with energy, a sharp contrast to the somber tone that had pervaded their last gathering. "Our mission to Eternum was not just a rescue operation," Alara began, her voice resonating with a newfound authority. "It was a statement. We have shown the Galactic Empire that we will not bow down or break under pressure. We are united, and we are strong." The assembly erupted in applause, a collective affirmation of their readiness to stand against further aggression. As the cheers subsided, strategic discussions took shape. Leaders proposed various plans of action, from bolstering defenses to launching more proactive strikes against the Empire's outposts. Dr. Lena Voss, now safely back among her peers, presented new defensive technologies she had developed. "With these enhancements to our shields and detection systems, we can better protect our colonies and ships from future attacks," she explained, detailing the specifications and potential implementations. Milo Ren, leveraging his inside knowledge of the Empire's operations, coordinated with intelligence teams to identify key targets. "If we disrupt their supply lines here and here," he pointed out on the strategic map, "we can cut off their advances on several critical fronts." Tasha Yen worked closely with the pilots and tacticians, training them in advanced combat maneuvers. "We need to be faster and more agile than ever," she instructed, her sessions intense and rigorous. As plans solidified and the assembly drew to a close, Alara felt a sense of accomplishment, but knew the road ahead was still fraught with challenges. The Empire would not take their losses lightly, and a fierce counterstrike was inevitable. The final day of the assembly arrived, and with it, a momentous celebration. The colonies declared the formation of the United Human Alliance, UHA, a formal coalition with a shared command structure and mutual defense agreements. Alara was appointed as the High Commander, a role she accepted with solemn gratitude. "Our journey ahead is fraught with peril." Alara addressed the assembly, her voice steady and inspiring. "But together we have already moved mountains." Let's continue to stand strong, support each other and fight for our freedom. For now we prepare, we strengthen, and most importantly we live to fight another day. As the Harmony's crest left Terra Nova, heading towards the next strategic meeting point, Alara looked out into space. Her thoughts on the future, her crew, her team, had become her family, and together they had already changed the course of history. Now they were poised to shape the future, a future where humanity could thrive in peace and freedom. The story of their bravery, unity and resilience would be told for generations as the beginning of a new era for humanity. As Terra Nova faded into the distance, Alara turned away from the viewport, ready to face whatever challenges came next.